If you want a good example of how Jesus used sinners to further his mission, you simply have to look at the author of the earliest collection of New Testament writings. His name was Saul of Tarsus. He was a notorious persecutor of Christians in Jerusalem. The book of Acts identifies him as a Jewish leader who witnessed the stoning of Stephen. From there, he journeyed to Damascus, intent on ridding the synagogues of believers in Christ. His journey was interrupted when he was encountered by the risen Christ. He described it as an apocalypse. To experience an apocalypse is to have your life radically changed. No longer would he be known as Saul, but his name was now Paul. So Paul wrote, "No longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me." Galatians 2:20. Jesus' interruption of Saul's life was profound and total. Not only did Jesus give him a new name, Paul, but he changed his mission. As a Jew, Paul had been trained as a Pharisee, an expert in his knowledge of the Old Testament, and especially zealous about keeping and teaching God's law. After his encounter with Christ, Paul's mission changed from upholding God's law as righteousness and persecuting Christians to preaching Christ's mercy. All the more surprising, Jesus sent this Pharisee to preach not only to the Jews, but also to the Gentiles, the non-Jews. Acts 9:15-16. He spent the rest of his life traveling to a number of places and preaching Christ everywhere he went. You might assume Paul had an easy life. After all, he was doing what the Lord told him to do. But his life was anything but easy. After he was apocalypsed, Paul's life was one of many journeys and many trials. The person whose life's mission had been to persecute Christians was now himself proclaiming Jesus. And so came the plots to silence that proclamation, even going so far as plotting to kill him. As part of his mission, Paul traveled throughout the Gentile countryside. He and his fellow missionaries encountered both the joys and the trials of proclaiming Christ to the people. Paul went to Jewish synagogues, then he went to the heart of paganism, Athens, Greece. In the synagogues, he recalled to the Jews the scriptures, telling them that what the prophets had foretold had happened in the person of Jesus Christ. Amongst the pagans who were worshiping idols, he named their false gods and revealed to them the one true God, Jesus. At nearly every turn, Paul was met with hostility. He was thrown in prison multiple times. He was put on trial. He suffered shipwrecks and starvation. Plots to kill him abounded. How did Paul respond to all of this suffering? Did he complain or quit? Did he blame the people who were hurting him and trying to kill him, or try to hurt them back? No. He simply continued to do what Jesus had told him to do, to preach Christ to all those with ears to hear.